How to install Safari browser on Linux. Okay, let's get started. Safari is an option even if you're on Linux. Normally when you think about the major web browsers, chances are that Safari is one of them. Chrome, Firefox, Opera, Safari, and what was the other? Edge. Okay? So yeah, it's on my list usually. I don't use it, but it's on my list, when I think about major web browsers. However, despite its popularity, Safari has never been officially released for Linux, so there's no native Linux, version of it. And this is particularly strange considering Mac OS and Linux both have historical ties to Unix. So if you're a Linux user and a web developer and need to provide support for the Safari browser, the good news is that there are some workarounds to get Safari up and running on your Linux installation. Although you will be restricted to Safari 5, I'm not sure what the new version is, the current version. You'll be limited to Safari 5 this way, but this version still has everything you need for surfing the web. Okay, so installing Safari browser on Linux. Okay, there's two potential workarounds for installing Safari on Linux. One is using Wine, the compatibility layer, not the drink. So we can either use Wine in the terminal or PlayOnLinux, which provides a graphical user interface, a GUI for Wine. So we'll do both. First we'll do the Wine, then we'll do a PlayOnLinux. And as an added bonus, you can use Wine and PlayOnLinux to install many other Windows applications besides Safari. So we're talking .exe files for Windows, not .dmg or all the other Linux packages, but you could use Wine and PlayOnLinux for Windows native package format, file formats like for a Windows environment like .exe. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and install Wine. Now, Wine is one of the most well-known packages, one of the most well-known Linux packages, and is found in most software center stores, package managers like apt, dnf, zipper, pacman. In Ubuntu and Ubuntu-based distros, we can install Wine with the following command. Now, you could either use the apt command. Let me show you. You could use a standard apt command, but one thing to know about that here. One thing to note is that the Wine version here in the Ubuntu repos is pretty outdated. I'm not sure what the version there is. I think it's 6. And I forgot offhand what the most current version of Wine is. We're going to install it a different way, directly from the Wine website, and then we'll check the version there. Like I said, I do believe this is going to come up as version 6, something or another. So we're going to skip that, and we're going to do something else. Okay, so we're going to do some steps here to add the Wine key, add the repo, and then we're going to update the system, and then we're going to use that repo for downloading and installing Wine. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is add the Wine key. Okay, so we're going to download the Wine key here. Okay, it's already been retrieved. So you key this in right here. wget will bring this key into the local system. As you can see, we're downloading the key from the Wine, the main Wine website here. Okay, so once it's been saved, then we're going to go ahead and add the key with apt, and we're going to add the key here. Wine key. Wine headquarter.key. Warning, apt key is deprecated. Really? Manage keyring files in. Well, we're just going to go ahead and. It's been deprecated apparently but it still went through. Let's just see if it works and gets us all the way through to the end. Okay, so we added the key. Now we're going to add the repository. Okay, now we're going to add the repository. Sudo apt add repository, and we're going to add this repo to the apt. As you can see, this is the website here from the main Wine website, and it's going to be for Ubuntu impish main, which is, let's see, we're at Jammy Jellyfish now, 2204. So impish main, I guess, would be 2110. So there should be a newer version. I'm not sure where the other standard apt came from. What version of Ubuntu that was for, when he just did it for just apt install Wine. Obviously it was probably behind here. Who knows, maybe it went back to like Gorilla or Hirosuit Hippo or something Gorilla or Focal Fossa. So it went back a little ways. Okay, so we're going to update the repo with this newer one here. It should maybe be Jammy Jellyfish, but maybe they haven't updated it yet. So this should be newer than what we had before with the apt install. So let's just go ahead and add the repo. Then we'll install Wine. Then we could see what new version this is compared to the other one. Okay, so add the repo. Press enter. Yes, we want to go ahead and add the repo to the apt. Actually, let's try something here. Hold on. Let's try something here to get the most current version that we can, because we just keyed it in for impish 2110. Let's clear that. Let's go back to that. Let's go back here. Okay, so what we just did right now was for impish, but we're using a newer version than 2110. We're at 2204. Okay, so we're going to change the name accordingly. I think all we have to do is just change the name from impish. We'll leave the main, and we'll go, I'm not sure if it would be Jammy or Jellyfish. Let's try the first one. It's either Jammy Jellyfish, Jammy, or just Jelly. Let's just try Jammy. Let's see if that does the trick here. Okay, that seems to be the right. So yeah, instead of impish, go to Jammy if you're on 22.04. So we'll enter on that, and okay, now we're going to be more updated. Okay, so we'll probably get even the more current Wine version here. And once it's done, then we're going to update the system with a standard apt update and upgrade command. Okay, so we did Jammy there. So we'll clear that. And I'm going to arrow up and down in my history here, look for my standard apt update and upgrade commands. Right here. Update the system. So it'll bring that repo in. It'll see what's available there. Essentially is what it's going to do. And let's just read through here real quick. And we're going to add some new packages. I'm not sure if it has anything to do with the Wine we're installing or other updates that we would have gotten anyway. But we're going to go ahead and just enter on that. Get that out of the way. Shouldn't take too long. It's just a couple of packages. Okay, clear that, run it one more time, make sure we're all clear. And as you can see, here's, you can also go back and remove the impish if you want. I don't think it's going to get in the way here. I think it's going to probably pull from the Jammy. So we'll leave that in there for now, though. These were kept back. Okay, I'm not sure if they're needed for this or not, but just in case they are, I'm going to go ahead and manually put those in there. The ones that were kept back here, because I'm not sure if they're needed for the Wine or not. So we'll copy copy and paste them here, and let's see if that just goes ahead and installs it manually. Alright, good. And then we'll run apt update and upgrade one more time, just to make sure that we're all clear there, we're all caught up. And then one more time. Okay. That's looking okay, good. Everything's all zeroed out. That's good. Right where I want to be. So we'll clear that one more time. And now lastly, we're going to install the most current stable version of Wine with apt. So back to apt. And before we just did a apt install Wine 64, whatever it was. Now we have to pass in a couple of extra flags here, so we can bypass all that. And we're going to do this stable version here, this most current stable version here, which hopefully will be pulling from the Jammy repo. You can read through all this. It's going to install some packages. Suggested. I'm not sure if it does the suggested on its own, or if that's for us to do optionally later, manually if we want. I think this is from the Wine I installed with the apt before, in the older version, 6 point something or other. So we're going to go yes on that, and Wine will now be installed. And then once this is done, then we're going to use this Wine to install Safari. Okay, Wine was installed, so we're going to clear this, and we're going to check the version. Like I said before, from the standard apt repo that would come with Jammy Jellyfish, I do believe it was like 6 point something or another, 6.0 something. Now we're at 7. Okay, so we have a more current version here. Great. Okay, so we're going to use this Wine to install. We're going to download the Safari package for the exe file for it and pass it into Wine. Okay. So but before we download Safari, we're going to have to create a directory for it to be downloaded into. Okay. So we're going to create a download and a build directory. The download won't be called download, but it'll be where we're going to download into, since we don't want it to go into the standard download folder. Okay. So the terminal's open. And I've already got it created actually from before, right here. So let me clear that, and then we arrow up and down, and you can see how I did that real quick. Okay, let's see where I actually. Okay, here. This is where I actually. This is the command I actually used to create the build folder and the Safari subfolder. So okay, like I said, it was already created right here, and then we're going to cd into that build folder, and we're going to cd into the Safari subfolder. Okay, this is where we're going to download. This is where we're going to download the Safari exe file to here, using the wget command. Okay, nothing in here already. Actually, I'm sorry. I already downloaded it from before. So let me show you the command to actually do that. It's in my history here. Let's find it here. That's not the one there. It could be Safari here. Here we go. So use wget, and if you're not sure if you have it or not, do this. To see if you have wget, just wget into the terminal, and you can see I've already got it. Otherwise, you'll be prompted to use apt to install the wget utility. So you can see here it's already installed on mine. I can leave that tab open. I can just go back to the other tab here. Oh, so wget's open. It's already installed. So we're going to pass this URL to download the Safari.exe file, which is a Windows file. Obviously Linux would be tar and all the other RPM and .deb, and for Mac OS it would be .dmg. So we're going to use the Windows version here, .exe. So we're going to enter on that, and it's going to install. It's going to download it to that Safari subfolder again, and it's going to probably show that there's two. Right. Okay. This is the one we had before. That's the one we just did right now. Okay. So we're going to pass this to Wine then. So once it's downloaded, we're going to launch Safari Setup. Okay. We're going to launch the Safari Setup using the following wine. We're going to invoke that wine. So let's clear this. We're going to pass that. Let's see. What was the name of the? What was the name of the? Okay, it was capital S. Okay, that's the one we want to pass into. So we're gonna. If it says 1, that's fine because that was the duplicate. Otherwise, just Safari Setup.exe into wine. Okay, and it should give me the Safari Setup dialog. And it's gonna take a few moments here to configure. Okay, at this point, you may be prompted, and we have been prompted, to download some additional software. In this case, it'll be this Wine Mono installer. And then once we do this, let's see if we're prompted to do Gecko as well. Okay, so we need this. It'll do it for us. It needs this package, Wine Mono package for .NET applications for Windows. So we're going to click yes to install the Wine Mono installer. So we're going to go yes on that. And it downloads that. I'll leave it here because it probably won't take too long to download it. I'm not sure how long it'll take to install it. Download complete. Installing. Okay, so I wasn't prompted for Gecko. Okay, so once we've installed the Mono package, then we have all the necessary supporting software, and the Safari installer should launch automatically. Now I've already got it on here from before, so it's seeing that. I could remove that, or I'm just going to go ahead and just reinstall over what I've already got. So we'll click on that, and it's going to install Safari over what I've already got. The Safari installation that I already had. Okay? So we ran through the installer, and we're going to finish on this, and it should launch it. Okay, so we ran the installer and we installed Safari, and then here it is. I pinned it to my dock here, Safari. So we'll go ahead and launch Safari there. And the start page, the default start page is the apple.com site. As you can see, it's loading and everything's fine there. Scroll up and down. Okay, that's good. So the apple.com is the default home page. And yeah, okay, so yeah, the browser was installed and we launched it, and you can start using Safari on Linux now. Okay, so that's how we did it with the Wine. Now we're going to do it with PlayOnLinux, which will give us the same thing, but with more GUI stuff rather than working in the terminal. So minimize that. Wine isn't always the most user-friendly software, so you may want to consider installing PlayOnLinux, which provides a graphical user interface for the underlying Wine code. Okay, so to install PlayOnLinux, we're going to use the following command. We're going to open the terminal. We're going to get out of here. Go back to the home here, the root of the home. And then we're going to use sudo apt to install PlayOnLinux. The standard sudo apt install command. PlayOnLinux. Okay, that's what we want to do. We want to install PlayOnLinux. So it's going to install some packages, additional packages. Okay, we're going to go yes on this. And once it's installed, then we're going to be able to find it in our applications folder. Okay, PlayOnLinux has been installed. So now we can find the PlayOnLinux in our applications menu, or our applications folder in this case. There's no real menu. It's a folder or drawer. So we'll find it and we'll launch it and we'll install the program. Okay, so you can go ahead and minimize that. Come to the application folder here. Open it. Let's close the Safari. Let's get rid of that. So okay. And PlayOnLinux. Look for PlayOnLinux. Here it is right here. Okay, we're going to open that. There it is. Go ahead and maximize that window. Okay, here's PlayOnLinux. Great, that looks really good. Let's see what version it is. Okay, yeah, you got the Windows colors here. That's pretty cool. PlayOnLinux. Okay, 4.3.4. Run your Windows programs on Linux. Great. This is good. Okay. Now we're gonna install a program. So we're gonna go here, install plus right here, install. Okay, so we're going to install Safari. So we're going to put Safari into the search bar here. Safari 5, okay. That's good, that's what we want. Okay, so we're going to, once the browser appears, we're going to select it and click install. Okay, so we don't have to complete the search term here. This brings it up right here. We'll select it. And then we're going to click install down here. So select it here. Once you've keyed it in, it auto completes before it even gets to the end. Safari 5. Come down to the install and we'll click install here. And there'll be a disclaimer here probably. And we're gonna read through it here, read this. We're gonna leave the default directory unchanged. Just make sure to install to the C drive, which is the only one managed by PlayOnLinux. Okay, so that's fine. We'll accept this. We'll next on that, and then there'll be another one here. Looks like PlayOnLinux is not related to Wine. They do work together, but I guess there's a difference, obviously. So that's fine. Now it's going to download that installer. Again, welcome to the PlayOnLinux installation wizard, and it's going to help us install Safari 5. So it's going to pretty much do everything we did in the terminal, but it's going to do it all for us. Let's maximize this so we can see all the dialogue here. Okay, I think that's pretty good there. Alright, that's good. We want to see everything here. Okay, so welcome to the POL installation wizard. It's going to install Safari 5, yada yada yada. This installation provided by, okay, and it's going to install it here. And okay, that's fine. We're going to go next on that. Nothing to do there. So it's going to download it and create this virtual drive. Okay, back in a minute. Okay, so when we click next there, that began the installation process. And the installer first is in the middle of creating a sandbox environment where it will install a version of Wine which is compatible with Safari on Linux. Okay, and then somewhere during that process where it's creating the sandbox environment in the virtual drive, in some cases, POL, I'll call it PlayOnLinux POL, will ask you, and I was prompted, it might ask you to install a couple of optional Wine packages. One was Mono, one was Gecko. I just simply click install, and it downloads and installs the DLL files necessary to work properly. Okay, so then I did all that, and we got to this point here. Once it and downloaded and installed Mono and Gecko. So yeah, the optional packages of Wine, of Mono and Gecko were installed. This is just to provide more a seamless compatibility with the Safari browser. Okay, so we did press install on those. There'll be an install button down here. And then we wind up here. Okay, so the wizard now will ask whether you want to use a custom binary or download the installer. Okay, we're gonna select download the program and then press next. So we're going to download the installer here. And we're going to go next on that. And now it says here, please wait while the POL is downloading Safari.exe. Okay, good. And it tells you some things to do when we go next here. During the install process, please deselect Install Bonjour for Windows and automatically update Safari. Okay, so we'll do that when those pop up. Okay, so now we're going to run the installer, and we're going to proceed with the standard browser installation process. And then, like I said, we're going to uncheck Bonjour and the auto update during the install. Okay, so we're going to go next here. Okay, here's the installer. I think we can minimize the background because it gets in the way. Okay, good. That's the way I like to do it. I don't want to have everything in the background. Okay, so we're going to run the installer here. Next on that. Accept the terms of agreement. Down here, the second one, I accept. Next on that. Okay, here we go. Now we're gonna deselect the Bonjour for Windows. Okay, we'll deselect that. You could read here what it is. Enable Safari to detect shared devices on your local network and make them available to you. Probably we don't need this because we're not going to be on an actual Windows installation. And we're going to deselect the auto update. So that way it's not going to be updated by the Apple software updater. Probably will be updated through APT, I would imagine. Okay, so we're gonna install on that. Okay, congratulations. We've installed Safari on Ubuntu Linux by way of the PlayOnLinux graphical user interface installer. Okay, now it's been successfully installed. We can just go ahead and finish and have it launch it for us just to verify that it's installed. Okay, great. Installed, loading. Alright, that's good. I don't want it to be my default, so I'll go no on that. You can do whatever you want on your end. Okay, then we can see everything's loaded. Apple.com. Everything's good. That looks good. Okay. And we can X that out and go back into the applications again and look for Safari. Here. Okay, yeah, one I was wondering what was going to happen. Okay, one of them is from the command line from the Wine, and I believe this one's probably from, I'm not sure if there's a way to find out, probably if you do details and whatnot. I think this is the one we just did for from POL. So we'll launch it from there. Looks like it's putting it on the desktop here. Okay, well, I guess it opened there. Okay. And then you could also right-click on it and just pin it to your to your dock by going and adding the favorites right here. And you can see it it launched. It's connecting to the home page. Okay. Now a couple of more quick words here. So in conclusion, while installing a native Safari 5 client in Linux or on Linux can be helpful for some users, this particular version of the browser can present some issues, especially if you're going to visit modern websites. That's mainly because Safari 5 is no longer supported by Apple, so it doesn't get updates. So as a result, using this version of Safari can result in either broken or insecure websites. So keep that in mind. Yeah, I mean, use it as you can. Use it for whatever it works for, if you want. If it doesn't work on something, then you're going to have to probably use a more modern browser like Firefox, Chrome, Edge, Opera, Vivaldi, Brave, one of those. And then one more thing here. So in this video, we installed Safari on Linux, and let's get into some quick questions here. Is it possible to install Safari on Linux using the Mac installer? No, it's not, because that deals with DMG files, so that you have to go this route here. Now, if you already have Wine, is it all right to install PlayOnLinux on top of it? Yeah, that's what we just did right now, and you saw it installed Safari twice, so that's good. And that's really about it. So we installed Safari on Linux with the Wine compatibility layer and the PlayOnLinux graphical user interface tool. Okay, so I look forward to thanks for watching. I look forward to your comments and your feedback. Thank you.